it's time to talk about it. It's been going on for a couple of months now. It's been going on all year, actually. I think MJF is turning out to be a huge flop. It's not entirely his fault, but I don't think he's the guy that you build your company around. You see, let's talk about this for a second. So MJF, for the first 4 years of AEW, he was treated like a phenomenal top-level heel, which he is. He was the $1 Million Man. He was Roddy Piper. He was a high-level threat. But then whenever he gets into the main event, he becomes campy, becomes a little jokey, and things kind of go a little too far. We saw this a couple of years ago when he was feuding with Jon Moxley, and all of a sudden he became a presidential candidate, and he was campaigning to be the world champion. And then a few months after that, he was hanging out with Chris Jericho. They're doing song and dance and show tunes and all kinds of stuff. And now here it is, he's doing buddy cop material with Adam Cole. Look, it's not all 100% MJF's fault. He's trying to make what he's given work. He's trying to stretch the limits of the character. He's trying to do different things. He's an incredible promo. He's an incredible worker, but he doesn't have much to work with. I don't think he's the guy by himself that you can build your company around. And it's pretty clear that he's re-signed a contract and was made the franchise player for AEW. Probably why Tony Khan felt so comfortable firing CM Punk. But when you look at the body of work that MJF has put together, a lot of it has been very, very weak. The in-ring stuff's been good. In-ring stuff's been great. He is a 5-tool player and is very young. I get it. I see why you want to push him. You want to make him your top star. But you have to understand, the beauty of MJF was always the people he was able to play off of. His best storylines was his ability to play off Cody, his ability to play off CM Punk, to play off of somebody else who gave him something to work with. The people he's feuding with now don't give him anything to work with. That's the first problem. The second problem is everybody liked MJF as a heel. Him as a babyface might be interesting, but it's not what everybody wanted. People wanted him as a heel. And the heel in that role cannot be your franchise player. It's like trying to make Stifler the main character of American Pie. It doesn't work. MJF is Stifler. He's a jerk. All right? He's the guy that comes along, insults the guy, belittles the guy, tries to take something from him, pushes him around, makes him feel small, and then he gets ultimately overcome, and then he has to go over here and do something else. He is not the guy that you stick as the focal point of the product, at least not at this point in his career. He does not have the chops for that. So when you look at what he's been doing recently, playing keep away with Jay White for months, the whole buddy cop thing with Adam Cole, look, good idea. It worked out. It ended up getting super over. They ended up selling a bunch of merchandise, but then they drug it out too long, and now Adam Cole's injured. So now I guess the storyline is on pause. Now they're doing this ridiculous thing with this devil. They're doing this stupid stuff with Hangman Page. We don't even know what's going on anymore. But none of it feels like main event stuff that matters. When we looked at MJF and said he was the guy of the future, he was standing across the ring from CM Punk. He was standing across the ring from Chris Jericho. He was standing across the ring from Cody Rhodes. These guys are top stars in the business. We're not seeing MJF try to carry a feud with Jay White, trying to carry a feud with Adam Cole, trying to carry a feud with Roderick Strong, or whoever this unknown devil person is. You can't put MJF in the ring with a bunch of B-plus players and expect him to draw you anything. He's not that good yet. All right? That's why I mean by this is a flop. If MJF was wrestling the tippy-top guys, circling back to CM Punk, which I know was probably the plan, but CM Punk got himself fired. But guys like Jericho, guys like Omega, if you'd have built up Jay White properly, used him properly, then that might be something. If Samoa Joe was used properly, that might be something. If Wardlow was used properly, if Ricky Starks was used properly, there's some people that if you use them properly and put them on the other side of the ring of MJF, then this thing might have worked out a little bit better. But this entire MJF year-long title run has been a disaster. It's led to ratings stagnating. It's led to attendance flattening. And he used to be able to draw. MJF used to pop huge ratings for his segments. This was a guy who 2 years ago was popping ratings for his segments. Last year was popping ratings for his segments. Now they go up a little bit, but that's about it. He's lost what made him cool. He's lost what made people hate him and engage with him. That fire, that passion, when he was able to stand in the ring and talk to CM Punk or Chris Jericho or whoever about his past and different things like this. He's lost that edge. There was an edge. There was a bite to the MJF character that I think when he returned, disappeared. Now he's backstage crying. He's one of these rah, I love AEW guys. Everybody should support pro wrestling, guys. That was never the stuff that really got people interested. What caught people's attention was the abrasive nature of the character, the in-your-face nature of the character. Yes, a lot of it was shock jock material that he was pulling out and saying because, hey, it's time to grab a headline this week. But that's also why he should never have been your top star, because there's only so much of that stuff that you can do. There's only so many headlines you can grab by saying blow me, or, you know, how I was getting head from a girl while I was driving my Ferrari and I killed her, or some nonsense. And it's just only so much of that stuff you can do. Now you've done all of it, and now we put this guy out here and he's defanged. He can't say any of the stuff that he used to be able to say, and now he's a babyface. You're supposed to like him. So who do you have as a heel that we dislike that can oppose him, that he can still show that same passion and still show that same fire against? Well, the answer is nobody. Nobody. That's why this thing has been a flop for several months now. There's only so much you can do. There's only so far you can stretch this. If you got a really big paycheck and you only got one, you still have to make that paycheck stretch. You only got one MJF. He's incredibly talented, but you have to make it stretch. Putting him in multiple segments throughout the show when he's trying to do comedy and he's doing bullshit humor with the Acclaimed, or he's doing gay stuff with the Acclaimed or whatever, it devalues him over time. If he was doing cool stuff throughout the show, then people will be more interested. But he's not. You're building the show around MJF and then doing terrible stuff with him. Of course, this is not looking good. But he's the world champion, so all of the flat ratings and the flat attendance should be attributed to him because he's the captain of the ship. He's the guy who got the ball. There's plenty of guys who don't have the opportunities that MJF has right now. He's at the top of the card. This is what he wanted. He's getting what he wished for. When he took off, he wanted more money. He wanted to be the top guy. Here it is. This is what he asked for. I doubt he knew it was going to be this poorly put together. I doubt he thought this was going to be as bad as it is. You got this guy who is a potential A player, a potential guy who could lead your company into the future. And you decide, I'm going to slap the franchise tag on him, and I'm going to put him in multiple segments throughout the show. I'm going to build multiple feuds around him, but all of the people who are going to be feuding with him are going to be solidly mid-card players that we're not going to build up as legitimate main event talents. And the only time you actually build up a legitimate main event talent is Samoa Joe, who has already lost to MJF. Oh, he could be feuding with Kenny Omega. Oh, he had a one-off match with Kenny Omega on Collision. He doesn't stand in the ring with a guy like CM Punk anymore. He's not in the ring with Jericho anymore. He's not in the ring with anybody who has a name anymore. He's not feuding with Moxley. There's no Cody. There's nobody with legitimate star power that can continue his rise and pull him up with them, or somebody who can set a standard that he can then reach and meet. Everybody that he's been feuding with recently, he has been trying to carry them. and has exposed the fact that he cannot. He is not that good. He's good, but he is not good enough. He's certainly not what everybody want him to be. So all this talk about this guy going to WWE, that'll be great. He may actually learn how to carry a feud. He may actually learn how to protect his opponents and keep his opponents strong for when he has to wrestle them. But most important, he'll learn that he can't carry the show by himself. I think the match that he had at the pay-per-view, where he did the elbow drop off the top rope onto the floor anyway, even after the table broke, was because he was trying so hard to get that match with Jay White over. He was trying so hard. He didn't care what he had to do. He didn't care how badly he had to destroy his body. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying this kid is trying very hard, but it's not enough. You can have all the 5-star matches you want, bro. Nobody cares about this match. Nobody cares about this feud. This thing was flat from jump because you were playing keep away the whole time. There was no legitimate heat. There was no legitimate story. There was no real reason for these two guys to be feuding. There was no passion. There was no intensity. There was nothing there to... I mean for the average person. I don't mean for the AEW fan who thinks it's a 5-star classic because he did an elbow drop off the top rope onto the floor. I'm not thinking about them. I'm talking about for the average Joes, the people who are being turned away. The MJF that they liked is gone. Where is that guy? Where is the passionate, intense MJF, the guy who said mean shit and probably meant it? Where's that guy? He's been replaced by a crying cheerleader instead of being the cocky, arrogant, high school quarterback-ish kind of guy that we've always known MJF to be, up until the point where he became best good buddies with Adam Cole. That guy that I just described, who was crass, but yes, also witty and sharp and intense and knew how to weave in maybe bits and pieces of his real life. Much like the Joker, we had like 100 origin stories. I always made fun of that, but it worked for his character, it worked for his gimmick, and it worked for the feuds that he was involved with. They dropped the ball with MJF. They not only dropped the ball, they kicked the bitch over the fence. I really don't care about MJF that much anymore. And that's Tony Khan's fault. Because the guy has all the tools in the world, but you don't know how to put the pieces together. I mean, you got the pieces in the box. They sent you everything you needed, but you don't know how to put it together. You don't know how to make it work. You were doing fine when he was a heel. You had really strong baby faces with a lot of experience that he could play off of. But now that he's a baby face, you need some really strong heels with some experience for him to play off of, or somebody who's just as witty, or somebody who's just as sharp, or somebody who can be like dastardly and evil, but they're not doing any of that stuff. All of this is just a miasma of who's friends with who's attacking me from behind, and a bunch of other horse shit nobody cares about. This title run has been an absolute flop.